Hello everyone, welcome to a Covfefe and Pepsi Max. Yeah, I know, I was just thinking, the way Monograph, well that's the way he pronounces it, even though his channel is spelt Montegraph. It's the silent T in Mozart, isn't it, Yeah, you don't have to be a rent boy or a trade genius to work that one out, but yeah, I might as well put it on spot colour. Now today I'm going to do sand, probably 2 types of sphagnum, and yeah, that's probably what I'm going to do, just 2 types of sphagnum. So we'll just put it on spot colour here, because I'll just show you. Now I've got, these are my 2 bags of old sphagnum. I'm just testing these out. If they work, I'll go down and buy a new bag, but I've got this one here that was damp but it's dried out. It's still dampish. So I think you can see. So I do a bottle with that. Then I've got this one here, which is still quite wet and sodden sort of thing, as you can probably see. So yeah, that looks all right. Even there's a lot of green around the edge. So we'll see if that green stays green or whether we convert it to our. Does it go red? In other words, the green is actually the red organism, but you just got get the right conditions right. So whether it goes green, you got green. So what I'm really saying is, green sphagnum moss really has the microbial organism actually growing with it. It's a symbiont, in other words, and under certain conditions, the moss will go red. And we know that even occurs for things like hypnum, which is a different genus of moss, and it's the Australian equivalent, I would suggest, to sphagnum in this country. So where you have sphagnum, we have hypnum sort of taking that sort of niche. It doesn't grow as thick, of course, but it sort of fills that sort of niche. So anyway, and I've got sand in here. See, so I'm probably going to do the sand first, but I'm just going to get the bottle there. And stage 1 is to basically just put our concoction in here. And this one should take about, as I say, this version we've got, it should take about 4 days to start to pink, and then should pink the whole thing hopefully, rather than being patchy. Whereas we had that one over there, we could get the pinking to start to occur throughout in about 2 days, but then it stalled. Now I think that's half the problem, is it's all this 1 step, 2 steps backwards. So anyway, I can't wait for Towergate 342, because one day after Donald Trump released his new budget that actually cut back government funding to the National, was it Public Broadcasting System? PBS? I think it was PBS. The ABC, which is supposed to be, according to people who live in America talking online, it's supposed to be worse than the Clown News Network or the Communist News Network, CNN. Yeah, so that's very interesting. So ABC, which is a partisan, TV, supposed to be news. I think the problem is these people haven't actually been reporting the news for quite a number of years now, at least the 8 years of the Obama administration, if not before that. The 8 years of the Bush. So, in at least 20 years or more, they have not actually really been reporting the news. There's been no investigative journalism or whatsoever sort of thing. So, this is very, very surprising, because they released this copy of this termination letter of Comey. So they've obviously had this sometime between when it was actually given to Comey and to the current day. So we know that Comey is a leaker. So do you think he gave a copy of it to the program? But of course it says that the Attorney General and the Deputy Attorney General, I don't know if that's that, I assume that because that's of the time, but is that cannot be. That's Jeff Sessions and Rod Rosenstein. No, they're the current ones, apparently. I've looked those ones up. But or is it the past ones, which would be Loretta Lynch and Eric Holder? So, or could it be Loretta Lynch and Jeff Sessions or something? I don't know. It's sort of. That's why I'm waiting on Mr. Towergate. He's really up to that information. You see, he's also a past private detective, so he knows he knows to check all those important details and things. So that's why I'm waiting for Towergate 342. It should be quite a doozy, because he'll really explain. People are saying it's quite a revelation, but he's probably going to explain the ramifications from the American point of view that I don't really understand, because, you know, I've been living in the country for the last 20 years. I think, you know, I don't know the ins and out of these, the real day-to-day ins and out of these programs. You know, how bad is ABC compared to, you know, and what about the PBS that's just had its see, the thing with when you cut back the funding, you're going to probably have to get rid of people, so you're going to have to make a list, and that will really put the frighteners on people. So who are you going to get rid of? People who are actually telling the news, or trying to tell the news, all these fake reports. Remember this, remember with sand, half the volume of the sand you add as water, especially when it's a dry sand. If it's slightly damp, it doesn't matter too much, around about halfway. So what we're going to do, we're going to leave this up halfway, dilution there, remember, because we've scaled this to the polystyrene, and we know that the polystyrene, when we fill it up with those bits, on average takes half the volume of the container. So you basically only got half the volume of the container with the fluid in it, and the rest is polystyrene, including the space sort of thing. Same with the sand. So you've basically got half that volume, and if we fill up the sand to the top, that volume of sand, half of that will be the water. So that's why I put half the water in. Do you back engineering the explanation there for you? Yeah, so I don't know what the Daily Rabbit Hole man or the Morning Lie or the Daily Lie, whatever his program is. So I'm just probably gonna have to put a little thing in the top there, just to make it a lot easier to get the okay. Having done this many times before, you can put this in there like that, and it'll be a bit slow, and yeah, we'll put it in, and we can quickly, hopefully, because it's damp sand, it's going to take time. So anyway, so that's going to be really interesting, because I assume, you know, if it was sent electronically, maybe the electronic, the letters were electronically attached, so that means they had them as well. And of course, those letters will contain the reasons that the Attorney General, and then also the reasons why the Deputy Attorney General decided to suggested to Donald Trump that he fire the FBI director. So in other words, now it's coming out that it really had nothing to do with Donald Trump. You could say it was a setup, but there's two other people that actually recommended to him. Oh, and the other thing is, the direct thing that's in the first letter is, he says that Comey suggested to him something 3 times. In other words, the cock crows thrice. So yeah, it could be quite interesting. I mean, for all we know, they may suggest this because there's some connection between Trey Gowdy, who we think is a good person, but there's these suspicions starting to grow now that he may be a deep state plant or something like that. There's been these sort of, if you've been watching like Trump Mafia, he's been saying for months that he suspects that Trey Gowdy is a deep state plant, and he put up these clips and he's captured all these comments he's made over the last few months, put them all, connected them all down together, and they keep basically saying the same thing, that he might actually be trying to obfuscate the investigation, slow it down, push it off, and things like that. So it's getting quite interesting now. As I said, this thing is bigger than Watergate. It's absolutely bigger than Watergate. I mean, it's 10 times, if not bigger than Watergate. This is, I mean, people are going to, this is truly treason, and people are actually going to, as I said, Red October is coming, and red meaning blood, because I don't know if they're going to hang them or they're going to actually put them in front of a firing squad. Now, the rule is a traitor gets the firing squad, isn't it? Especially during wartime. So apparently these people are trying to start a World War III, because they wanted to keep their little machinations, their little games going, making all the money. I mean, can you imagine when, Trump is letting them play games with the stock market, because all that money goes back to them, of course, and then he'll take it away from them. They probably don't realise this. He's already put out the orders to do that. So that's probably why all these Rothschilds and people like that are selling their nearly 200-year-old property estates and things like that. They're doing that because they've got they went to their bank accounts and the cupboard was bare, sort of thing. I reckon that's what's really happened. And so, yeah, that's why there's all these fire sales going on. And they're selling them for all these crazy prices, you know. They've got something like the size of Manhattan and they're selling it for only, what was it, 120 million or something? It's crazy. You got something the size. You know, what did the Americans pay the Indians for the actual island of Manhattan or something? To put New York on it. You know, they grew up on it. I forget what it was, but it was like peppercorn. It was a sort of, you know, it was a I don't know if you could call it a bad deal for the Indians, but you know, it has made America great. I mean, it's after London, it's the premier city of the world, isn't it? I mean, yeah. Anyway, so yeah, so it's going down. I've only done like that, so I've got to fill it all the way up. So I don't even know I'll have enough sand. So we'll have a go anyway. We'll see what we can do. But yes, it's going to get really interesting in the next few days because yeah, if ABC has got this and they're a partisan, you know, program putting this thing out. What about the ones that, you know, like the public broadcasting system that's supposed to be, you know, on the side of the public? What do you think they've got in the vault that now they've got the excuse that this is being released on this thing? What could they release now themselves? And also in the fact that they're probably trying to protect all their employees and saying, oh shit, you know, is it you or me is going to have to be walking out the door? At least you have a bit more money in your bank account now, thanks to tax reform. Oh, and also on the TV today, they started the infrastructure. Donald Trump has actually donated his salary, yeah, he doesn't need it, I know, to the actual infrastructure fund. I don't know how much it is. I don't think it's that much. I don't think they pay, what was it, $500,000 they pay the president in a year or something, but it's still $500,000, I suppose. I mean, it could build, you know, 1 or 2 kilometres of a road, I suppose, these days. I don't know why the tarmac costs so much. Again, it's probably another rort or something. What behoves me, my biggest peeve, is the road stick, especially in this country, in the southern Abbottland, you know, because we have, you know, hot summers where, you know, it can be up to 48, regularly at 46 to 48 degrees in the shade, and of course, being black tarmac, it gets a lot hotter than that. It gets a lot hotter than the Sahara. So they're probably using, you know, I'll give them benefit of the doubt, they're probably using, you know, European road stick or something on. They're not putting the glue in or something, or the glue is being affected, but you know, they put it down and within about a few months it's coming off. So when you get to you know, a noir situation during the wet, when, you know, it's actually, we do actually get some rain, and at night time, and you know, you got these bloody, there's a sheen on the road and there's no road stick and you can't see any lines on the road. It's bloody dangerous, I would think. So that's one thing that really needs to be conquered in this country, sort of thing, is a better road stick, I would suggest. Yeah. So yeah, I don't know about Canberra, because if you know about Canberra, they have a funny road system. It's all built on this like circular system, so you can easily get lost. But also they have these dinky little lights, you know, that can barely attract a mosquito, sort of thing. And it's terrible for rapists, well, not for rapists, for the rapees, I suppose, because you can easily get raped, because there's no bloody, the street lamps as dim as Tokate's lamps, sort of thing. And yeah, and you go from one suburb to the next and it's like going into total darkness. You know, you can't, you look in the bush and it's just black, charcoal black. So you go from one suburb with these dinky little lights to another suburb with the dinky, and in between it's pitch black. You know, and then of course if you've got bad road stick, there's nothing on the roads to actually be able to, it's raining. Yeah, nothing on the roads to be terrible. So that's just one of the problems from down here in southern Abbottland, sort of thing, one of our major cities. I mean, I think Canberra's stupid just from a natural, physiological point of view. You know, you want to stick these politicians, are supposed to do all your thinking, and you put them in a place where it's freezing fucking cold in the wet, and it's stinking bloody hot in the in the dry, and you expect them to make decisions when it's stinking bloody hot, and because, you know, from our land, we do our thinking in the dry when it's stinking bloody hot, and we do our work in the wet when it's cool, and the two things never quite marry up because there's just been this time shift between one and the other. So by the time you get to do your work, things have changed. So all your plans that were made, you know, while you're making other plans or thing, have been all stuffed up. So yeah, just gonna see what we got there. Oh, the other thing here I wanted to point out. First of all, let's show you. Yeah, I got to do a lot more. It's got to go all the way up to there, and we'll see what happens. Now we're going to get redness within a few days, and it's going to go eventually all the way down through the whole thing. And if that happens, then we'll just cut the top off and we'll try and plant something in it, sort of thing. And we'll see how we go. The other thing is, have you noticed this one here? I don't know if you can see it. Can you see it starting to green on the top there? That zone there above the pinky red, it's starting to green there. It's very hard to pick up, but it shouldn't be hard to pick up in a couple of days' time. So then, it's just sort of this green that you get on these here down here. So you can see there. So we've got the green, you got the pinky red to magenta to red to purple, and we've got this zone down here. It's almost like a blue grey sort of zone. So is that the grey sand look down there, down here? So interesting. So anyway, that's about it for this thing. Next clip, I should have done that, filled it up with sand, and we will be working on the next one, which will be the sphagnum moss, of course. And I'll try and think about anything else I can think of that's happening. But I think it's talking about America now. This is the year. I think this is where we sort out all this mess that's been going on around the world. And I think just watching all those Elon Musk stuff on TV with SpaceX, you suddenly realise we could have had that in the 70s. And the reason we didn't have it in the 70s, things got sidetracked, and of course all this money was going out of all these places to all these people, all these fat cats, these 1%ers, and to all these mega rich people. And of course we're going to claw all that back now. It's going to be amazing, because we're going to have all that money that's been accumulated over these years is going to come back to all of us, and we're going to be able to do things like, Donald Trump says we're going to Mars, and you don't think you've got the money? Look at this check that we just picked up from the Rothschild. Look at that. And look at the number of noughts on that. Do you think you can go to Mars with that? And I say, yes, sir. We're going to Mars. Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. And then we're going to have books that are going to have full colour photographs. You don't have to go down in someone's bloody room and almost beg to be able to write yourself a book. You want a book done. When you want it done by tomorrow, Then we've got this large printing press. Give us your transcript or your copy or whatever, your galley proof or something, and we'll have 500 copies of it by tomorrow, because all the money's coming back from all these little beady little people overseas have been just scamming us for years. Anyway, it's going to be good. This year's going to be fantastic, I reckon. Yeah. Okay.